All right, we're moving forward. So what I was getting at is any question that comes up, I'm going to try to show you where you can find these answers online. So when we get off the phone or the webinar here, you'll be able to know where to track down these. So first question is the easy one. Where do you get team t-shirts and what logos do we need to use? If you were one of our grant recipients last year, is a grant requirement in order to get to put our logos on the back of our shirts for the first 2 years. So last year, if that was your first year, that'd be year 1. This would be year 2. If you got our grant 2 years ago, this would be your 3rd year, and it's not required. If you want to put them on there because they look cool and you want to help support us, great, you can. Where you find them is if you go to our website, techpointyouth.org, and then go into robotics, under team t-shirts, you can either order the shirts right here, and if you're going to use your own t-shirt person, you can find all the artwork here. I would tell you that one of our major donors, Guggenheim Life and Annuity, is now iWit, so you can actually find the new iWit logo right there. So that's where you can find t-shirts. You can order them on here. The logos are here. For those of you that aren't a grant team, you don't need to put our logo on there. It'd be nice, but you don't have to. And as far as I get questions, should we put our team number on there? Yeah, I think you should. I think you just think of a football or basketball team. They're going to have their jerseys with the, student, the team, the player's number and their name on the back. Make it like a jersey. So go ahead and put the team number on there. Put the team name and maybe a logo if you have, or a mascot. How can I connect with other schools in my area for scrimmages or practices or to learn from them? Honestly, the easiest way that I would tell you to do that is go to our robot map on our website, and all of these little blue dots, you guys have probably seen this if you've ever been in a meeting with me, so I show this off all the time. All these blue dots represent VEX IQ teams, both elementary and middle. So if you live, we'll say in Kokomo, you zoom in. If this is your school right here in the middle of Kokomo, you could click on this one and say, Sycamore Elementary. There's a teacher there that has a VEX IQ team. Email me that you want to be in touch with the Sycamore School, the Howard Elementary, and the Boulevard, and I'll put you in touch with all 3 of those coaches so that you guys can work out some scrimmages or things like that. I think it's a valuable resource for you to start gaining some relationships with the coaches in your community. Brittany just asked about a Girl Power grant. So that's an REC thing, and I'll show you. I'm just going to Google REC Robotics Girl Powered logos. So if you scroll down here, it says logos and other graphics. They have a folder of all the Girl Powered ones. I think the Girl Power requirement says you need to either do REC or Girl Powered. Is that right, Randy?
They want you to list the REC because they're the ones that made the funds available for the Girl Power grant.
Okay, so that's where you can find it. If you want the Girl Power because it looks cool, heck, I mean that's a pretty cool logo. Throw that on there too. How can I? Oh, sorry. What grade levels for our team? So this was just one question someone asked. I don't even know if they're on right now. So this is right out of the rules. It depends on what your school is. So if your school offers, we'll say 1st through 6th, those 5th graders would be elementary. Those 6th graders will be elementary. But if your school offered a 7th grade, that's what it says right here as an example. If it offers 7th or 8th grade in your school, those students that are in the 6th grade would then be middle school students. So this is the rules out of the manual. If you have additional questions, you can email Randy for clarification. Questions on how do you practice for competitions? So using that same football, basketball analogy, well, let's use the basketball one. If you're a basketball coach preparing for a game, what I tell coaches, because a lot of students like to do this, is students like to practice that 1-minute match over and over and over again. And I would say that's comparable to being a basketball coach and doing an entire game over and over and over again. At practices for basketball, you don't do an entire game. You do a scrimmage maybe once a week type of thing, prepare for a game. You run through drills at practice. So I think the same thing's true in robotics for driving. I think your students should practice driving, picking up a hub, driving, picking up a hub, driving, pick up in the hub. Now, driving over and putting the hub down in one of the scoring zones, driving over, putting it down in the scoring zone. And then put out scenarios. Drive over there, and let's say you're driving to the left side, but your alliance partner now goes to the left side. What do? Do you go to the left side as well? Do you go to the right side? So make scenarios to make your kids think on their feet, just like you would in a basketball match or a basketball practice. And then if you're going to score on the second level, have them pick and place. So you're stacking on top, stacking on top. Once they go through those drills, maybe at the end, the last 10 minutes, you run through a couple 1-minute cycles. But I think there's a lot of time wasted running through a 1-minute cycle over and over again, or just driving randomly. I think there should be some focus on the driving. So we'll get into how to prepare for an event on the next slide, but that's just kind of practice drills. Other questions that you guys have about, that's all I have right now for coaching related questions. Is there any other questions before I move on? You guys can put them in the chat. All right, so if not, I'm going to move on. Competitions. How do we sign up for a competition? So you need to go to Robot Events, and I'll get to early bird registration here in a second. I'm going to point out on our website, we have the Robot Resource page right here, Robot Resource page. And I have all these drop-down menus that have a lot of information, probably anything and everything you'd ever need. So I'm going to click on VEX IQ competition. And when you're asking how do you sign up for a competition, I've made a YouTube video right here on how to sign up for a competition. I mean, it literally walks you through Robot Events, registering for an event, how to register, what to look for, things like that. So this is, I think, important for you to look through if you've never signed up for a competition or you kind of forgot and need a reminder. I do see a question about the STEM research project. We'll get to that here in a second. But Randy, did you want to talk, for those of you who haven't signed up for an event yet, you may not be aware of early bird registration. We included that in the newsletter, just so you guys all a heads up. But Randy, do you want to kind of explain early bird registration, what it is and why we're doing it?
Yes. First of all, early bird, a easy way to understand it is think of it like Fast Pass at Disney. As you know, down there, you sign up for, you register for a couple rides to do, and you can't sign up for any more until you do those rides. Early bird's the same concept, with the exception that when you get within 6 weeks of an event, anyone can sign up for any open spots. Beyond the 6 weeks, you only get two. You only get two, and until you use one of those, you don't get another one. This was, Indiana's one of the reasons why it was implemented. We had a big problem last January, where I had teams contacting me, events are full, can't get in, events are full, and I had all teams where they just couldn't get in. And so this was, and part of the problem was a lot of the veteran teams would sign up for every single event, whether or not they're going to compete in them. Well, unfortunately, those are spots that got used up, so no one else could get in. So that's the reason why early bird was implemented. So like I said, Indiana has a big reason for it.
Yeah. I would say, and there's a question that people have been asking as far as can they host another competition? It's at the bottom here, but on that point, there is a good end, it's a cause and effect. Indiana has more VEX IQ robotics teams than any other state in the entire country. That's a wonderful, great thing that we all should be proud of. But there is some effects that this causes, and one of them, and the major one, is making sure that there's enough events for everyone to sign up for. So I know that was a problem last year. There's a problem this year, and Randy works on that probably every single day. We have discussions about it all the time. So we are looking for more people to host events so that there's more opportunities for teams. I know it takes up a lot of time and energy and resources, and not everyone has those resources in order to host an event, but we do need help with people signing up to be event partners. So if you're interested in hosting an event, you need to contact Randy like right after this webinar and tell him you have interest, because we're already past the due date to offer new events. But I think here in the next month, we will have to try to add a few extras. So if you want an event close to your school, email Randy, and then he can try to walk you through on how to host an event. We can have a webinar training. We can partner you with event partners, things like that.
It's going to be a little bit different from any new ones from here on out. You will only get 2 state spots. You do not have to do any judged awards unless you want to, but there won't be any state spots tied to that. And then also you can make it an invitational where you invite the teams to be in there, because right now there's over 200 teams that are not in any events right now, and I like for some of them to get first crack at anything it opens up for them.
Yep. Robin asked about event partner grants. If you're talking about, not exactly sure what you mean, but I think I know. So if you're talking about, we have a grant that if anyone is a new event partner, hasn't been an event partner before, we will get you a full field and game element set. So that right there is $300. And so if you are a new event partner, I have 15 left. REC was doing this, and now we're taking it over. But 15, full field. Robin, if you sign up, if you haven't hosted an event and you want to be an event partner, I have a field and game element set with your name on it. So that's kind of a little incentive to be an event partner, a little $300 perk. And then other reasons for those of you who are interested, it's a fundraising opportunity. Your school will make money from an event. You charge about $35, I think is about the going rate right now, $35 for every team that comes to your event. Times, I would say about 30 teams are an average. So 30 times 30 right there is $900. There's a 5% credit card fee that you lose, 5% that you would lose from that. But, and of course there's some expenses to put on an event, purchasing some flyers and signs and whatever other expenses you have, but it's definitely a fundraiser. So, Rob, you get both full field and game element set. Boom. But if you host 2 events, you get more money, but I'm not buying you another field. Sorry. I only got one per event partner. I like that you asked. All right, we're moving on. At this point, what if 2 teams host 1 event? I have 1 field per event, new event. But I think that it's probably in your best interest that if you have someone that is interested in helping, it's probably good to have an additional help. So at this point in the season, what should I be focused on in order to prepare my team's competition? So before I answer this question, I want to make sure that you guys are aware of 2 really helpful documents in the same folder or the same tab under Robot Resources. Under Event Related, there is tips for preparing for an event and 101 things I wish I knew before my first competition. 2 documents that REC put together that are great. And Marlena, we will get to your freakout question because I am on the same boat with you. So this document is really great. And it answers another question. People say, what do you need to bring to a competition? So that's right here. But this is a great doc. And then this doc contains VRC or the EBR robots, the metal robots, as well as IQ. So some of the things won't relate, but is this still another great thing to look over before your first event? So these are 2 great resources. But going back to what other things should you be doing? Register for an event as soon as you can. And I'll just address the problem with the VEX IQ Super Kits. It is awful. Like, I completely agree. It sucks, and I'm very sorry about the delay. Randy and I think, communicate with VEX multiple times a week to try to bug, annoy, urge them to get Indiana their Super Kits. Not that it makes this feel any better, but I have first-year teams that ordered kits back in July and August that I'm still frantically fighting to get them their things. So it's a very bad situation, I think, that all teams are in. And Randy and I have been working with VEX as hard as we can. The backstory on all of it is they literally just don't have the kit. There was a manufacturing supply issue that was kind of even out of their hands in a way. This is what I've been told, that have really slowed down the production of these super kits. So anyway, I know that doesn't help you or your kids that are dying to get their hands on it. Some solutions that I can tell you is if you do have the foundation kit, you could probably build Flex Spot with everything that's in that foundation kit minus motors, wires, and a brain. And then when your super kit does come in, then you could add those motors, wires, and brains. So that is something you can consider doing, but I know that doesn't really help much. So it is on an 8-week back order. You can bug back all you want by emailing them and calling them and just saying, "Where's my order? Where's my order?" But unfortunately, Randy and I are kind of out of our hands, and we bug them. I know I email them almost twice a week. So anyway, that's all I can share with you on that. But going back to like how to prepare, like practice your driving, I would say this is probably the most common thing that's missed, is that your kids focus so much, 95% of their time on building the robot and 5% of the time on driving it. So I think that should be a lot closer to like a 60-40 share, 60% of the time building, 40% of the time driving. And the way I've suggested, and it's very hard to do, is dedicating the last or second to last practice before an event to driving and only driving. Don't touch, modify your robot moving into a competition. I know that some of you returning teams are saying, well, we're building until the last hour before an event. Do what you can to simplify your robot so that you're done at least 2 practices before your event so that your kiddos are driving a lot. I've seen a lot of really good designs that kids don't know how to drive the robot and they don't score well or do well because of their driving abilities. So, and then if you guys haven't started working out transportation to the event, practice talking with judges. I think it's a really fun part of the competition. For those that are going to have judged events, you could just ask your principal to come in and ask a few questions to your kids would be a good little practice. And then that's good exposure to your team from your principal. Question I've already answered is what to bring to a competition. That's on that tips page. And then Randy, you might have to help me with this one, but I'll open up the link. A lot of questions on the STEM project. Is it required? What is changed? What's different? Here's what I will tell you. There's a major change in the STEM project this year. If you have never done the STEM project, it hasn't changed because you don't know. But if you've done it last year, you used to give a in-person presentation. Now it's an online video. So you can go to this link right here. I'll open it up, show you what it looks like. And it outlines in the very beginning, here's what's new. And I would say I'll highlight the 2 largest things. One is that the STEM presentation is no longer a requirement of the Excellence Award. And it is now a video submission that you turn in prior to the event. So these are the 2 major ones that will affect teams. Randy can speak to why this was, Randy, if you want to give REC's perspective on why this was changed.
Yes, throughout the country, that it was a problem with event partners. They had, because the STEM research project required, it required judges devoted just to that. And event partners had trouble finding enough judges to do the other awards. And in fact, I remember here in Indiana, there was a few events where either they didn't have any STEM sign up for it, or they didn't have any judges, and it was a problem. And so it was decided not for it to be attached to the Excellence Award anymore. And then the only place it's going to count toward world is going to be at the state competition. Now, some events are offering it, which is fine, but it should be submitted in the video format, even at local events. That's like I said, that's what's supposed to be on that. And then if you want to submit one at state, you have to qualify for state first. So only teams that are qualified for state can submit a STEM video submission.
Okay. And Randy, so the question I think some people are asking is like, how do I know if a STEM project is there? Question just was asked, do you only have to do it if the event requires it? It is optional 100% at every event. That's correct, right, Randy?
Yes, that is correct. And it will be up to the event partner how to accept the format it's in, what form they're going to do it on. It's totally up to the event partner. Just like it stated, it'll be up to, I guess in your case, how you want them turned in at that time too.
Okay. And so I just pulled up an example from North Liberty VEX IQ competition. I went to awards, and right here it says STEM research project. That tells me, Randy, that they're going to offer. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah, they're going to offer. They're offering the awards. So anybody who goes to that event should have a videoed submission to go for that award.
Okay. And if you guys ever have questions about the event you're going, the tab right here, the general info, has the email of the person hosting and the secondary contact. So you can always just email Jennifer and Jessica, well, if you're going to this event, and ask them those specific questions about the STEM research project. So not required, optional. In my opinion, if you have extra kiddos that need something to do, the STEM research project, the engineering notebook are great things to do for the extra kiddos. But it's if you've got, you don't have a lot of help or support, you're the only one in the coaching and a small group of kids, I wouldn't worry about it. That's my 2 cents. But it's a good opportunity to learn. Randy, is STEM research required to get into state? Will it get you into state?
No, not at all. Like I said, the only time it's going to be submitted at state is for those teams that have already qualified.
Got it. Okay. Engineering notebooks. So someone asked, can I see an example? And then another person asked, what is the engineering notebook? What do I have to do? So this link right here tells exactly what the team design notebook is, and it talks about like what they're looking for. And then I put a link in here that is an example of an engineering notebook that would be kind of considered one of the best engineering notebooks. So, it kind of outlines, here's my 2 cents on what an engineering notebook is. It is a journal from your team that shows the progress through the build season of where your team started with an idea to where it currently is. And this is typed up, it looks like. They have an index that shows where their ideas are, what pages. They have photos. They have, yes, someone's saying it does not compare to those. The ones that you get in your welcome kit are just like here to get you started. Here's something. This to me looks like they printed this off like a template, and they 3-hole punched it and put it in a notebook. But you can see some of these are written pieces of paper that they put on. Some of these are typed up. Here's a sketch. I mean, you look at it, it doesn't have to be necessarily like a perfect, well-handed, well-drawn sketch. The whole point of this is just to show our documentation of it looks like there's a hopper and counting 2 balls or whatever it might say there. So it doesn't have to be neat and clean. It just has to be organized, showing the thought process of where we started, where we ended. That's the whole point of the notebook. But anyway, there's an example of it. Yeah, I mean, this thing looks like, how many pages is this thing? 125 pages. I mean, this is a beast. This is something that probably is going to win a design award at World. So this is like cream of the crop right here. Any other questions on your notebook? Do you want me to move on? Okay. Feel free to ask questions. I already told you, if you feel like you want to host a competition, email Randy. Now I've got questions about the game itself. And before I answer this, I want to show you, if you haven't looked in the manual yet. So going back to my robot resource page, next level game related. I'm going to go right here. It says next level game manual. So why I'm pulling this up is they have a lot of, I think they did a really good job of putting together examples of scenarios that might be questionable. And one is being, does this hub, here's an example, not your question, but does this count? And by definition, if the hub is in the zone, not touching not touching the floor, which is outside the building zone, it counts. So you can see it's not touching the floor out here, but it's in there. The actual question is, does a sideways hub count? Well, yes, it does. It doesn't matter if it's sideways, diagonal, whatever. It's in there, it counts. It just can't be touching. Like if this one right here is on its side, it's not in the building zone, it doesn't count. This one is in but touching the floor, that does not count. So this is a good example that kind of, you can see here, that guy up there sideways, that counts. So this is a good, the manual I think has some good examples to go over that you can show your kiddos. One question that was not asked, and this is more of a strategy for autonomous mode, is in autonomous mode, during skills, let's talk about skills. And this question wasn't asked, but it was asked for the first year coaches. Maybe you guys already know this, but this is just a good strategy to get better at skills. When you're doing skills by yourself, you can start on the left or right side, does not matter during skills. In fact, specifically during autonomous mode, if your robot program is to drive over, pick up this one hub and go over here and score it, if your first program was in this zone, drive over, because it's the shortest distance, pick it up, and then drive over here, drop it, and back up. You could then pick up your robot and then put your robot in this zone, meaning you could start in the left zone, run a program, pick up your robot, and put it back here. You just have to remember, if you ever touch your robot during skills, if it's touching one of the hubs, or it's in possession of one of the hubs, you have to take that hub and put it outside. That's why I said drive over here, put it in the building zone, back away so it's not touching it. That would count. So anyway, if you have any questions on that, let me know. Have you ever quizzed any of your teams on the manual? Does anyone have quizzes already made? Anyone can chime in if they have any quizzes. If you have good ones, I could put in the coach's corner. I quiz my kiddos all the time. And an example of that is I would throw these hubs all over the place, stack some up, put a robot under here, and I would say, first one to tell me how many points gets to drive today. I don't know. So like, how many points is on the field right now? If a hub falls out of bounds, what happens to it? How many points is knocking this yellow one down? Like, I'll ask my kids, I don't care if they're the driver or builder, if they're doing the STEM research project, everyone on your team should know the rules. And yeah, I just quiz kids all the time about it. And it's kind of my, like, you know, brain teaser in the beginning of practice. I might just throw out some questions.
Hey, George.
Now, you talking about the referee?
The referee
Yeah,
videos.
go ahead, Randy.
I was just going to suggest you show them where the referee videos are, so that way they can see from the referee point of view what they're going to be looking for.
Yep. Right under here, there's a link to VEX IQ Next Level referee videos. People always like scratch their head, like, why are we recommending you to do referee videos? It's because it explains the rules to anyone. And it's exactly what the referees are going to be looking for. So Randy's right. Like this is a great resource. Looks like there's 7, and they're short videos. I mean, 7-minute video on scoring the match. And that's probably one of the longest ones. This is switching the controller. That's 3 minutes. So, and then also in here, Randy, isn't there like quizzes on here?
Yes. If you, I would say, wait, back up. I would say, okay. Okay.
Go resources.
It's the next one down on that list. If you want to go to, are you at the, yeah, go to Event Partners. Click on Event Partners. They're at the top. Yeah, right there. Go to Resources Documents, and let everybody else know. Scroll down. All these tabs have tons of information. If you go in that right there, scroll down. It'll say referee videos, and then right below it, quiz.
There you go. So I haven't looked at this quiz yet, but it might be a neat little.
Hey, I passed it.
Hey, Randy passed it.
Yeah.
So.
And by the way, they're not keeping track on pass fail stuff like that. This is just, they just want to know who all's doing it. So don't let it feel like it's not an evaluation. Please don't take it that way. It's not.
Yeah. So I just pasted that in there. It looks like there's some questions. You just copy and paste these, throw these in there every time. So there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, it's more to see if you really get what it is they're wanting you know about these games. That's what the quizzes are about.
All right, I'm going to move on. If anyone has any other questions about competition, go ahead and ask them. Doesn't look like any. I'm going to move on to robot-related questions. So questions about Flex. I had a few teachers say that Flex is taking a long time to build, and it is a little bit more of a robust, it's a pun, I think, a more robust robot than StretchBot. So what I have done, and if you're on the Coach's Corner on Facebook, you might have seen my post last week. I'm going to open up this document, and all right, so this document right here, and I'll just go ahead for those of you that don't have it. I'll just put it in the chat. What I've done is just said, when you build FlexBot, this is FlexBot, it does not have to be built step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, all the way to the last step, which is like 66 steps. The robot can be built in segments or different sections and be brought together at the end. And what I did is I said, I noticed that steps 1 through 11 is one section, and you can have a student build section 1 and then a student build section 2, and it right here, I'll say, some of you will look at this, why is 1 through 11, 1 through 11? Well, this is the left side, and this is the right side. It's the exact same thing. So you build 2 of them. You have one kid or group of kids build this one group of kids do this one, and then in steps 12 through 21, they join the 2 together. So one group built this, one group built this, and they join them together. Then you have another completely separate group of kids working on the appendage and support, because this is independent of this. This is going to fit with this, but they can be built separately. So all I'm saying is, if you have a group of kids, you could break all of this up into smaller, like 4 subgroups, have them work independently, and then bring them all together. Now, it doesn't have to, you got to build it right. So if a group makes a mistake and they try to bring them together, it's not going to fit if someone made a mistake, but it's a great teachable moment of talking about how teamwork is important, and one mistake can affect everyone else, but you have to work together and overcome these problems. So there's my teachable moment.
Yes, and I want to throw in that this is a great example of how something is assembled like in a factory or in a somewhere. I'm talking about real something to build. That's exactly what happens. You have a lot of components put together, and at the very end, it's all put together. It's all assembled. Like a car, for example. Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. And it shows how kids have to work together as a team. You can't just sit there and watch someone work. What else can you be doing right now? How about you be working on the hub lifter and the robot manipulator? Fast forward to step 46 and start building. And you can do all of these. You can really do all of these steps without the super kit if you have that foundation kit. So anyway, it's my 2 cents. How do we program? So some of you are asking, let me ask this one first, and then I'll spend the rest of the time. I was going to give you a demo on programming, just a quick how easy it is. Let me answer this one first. Someone was asking, can you program with the iPads? How does it work? So I pulled up here. If you have the blue smart radios, which they just started, I think this year and the end of last year, I think they've been including the smart radios for the robot kits that we got. So if you look on the back of your remote, if it has the blue smart radio, you would be compatible with the iPads. If you have a black or gray radio, it will not work with the iPads. So that's the first one. So if you wanted to work with the iPads, it looks like you buy a new one for $12.99, and you can modify you can program with the iPads. It even talks about it down here that the iPad app is available here. I and Randy have not personally done this. I've heard mixed things. I've heard it works great, it's perfect, we love it. I've heard I can't get it to work. So I don't know. One thing I would say is if they are school iPads, I'm not a Mac user, so I don't really know if I'm saying this correctly, but I think it's possible some schools are limiting what you can install and what outside devices that can connect via Bluetooth. So if that's the case, you might need to be careful. But you can, oh, there you go. So you can do it you might just have to play with it. Now, how do we program? So my suggestion is to program with ModKit. And I'm going to end the evening with this. So if anyone has questions, ask it now. Otherwise, I'm going to take some time going over ModKit. If you want to program, and I think everyone, and let me pull this up. And I'm going to convince you how easy it is to program for skills this year. And if think of skills, you get 1 point for parking in the parking zone. So you could program your robot to drive forward 6 inches and stop, and you could get 1 point. So I'm going to literally show you what that program would look like to drive forward 6 inches and stop, and how easy it would be to do it. I also want to show you, before I do that, on our website, Robot Resources, VEXIQ Robot Specific Resources, scroll down to Program Related. I have all these different things and specific ModKit tutorials, ModKit YouTube tutorials. ModKit tutorials is straight on their website and has some very helpful links. There is a ModKit YouTube tutorial, and there is a, I think, British gentleman that does a really good job on this one right here, ModKit VEX Setup. He goes through and he shows you how to download ModKit, how to install it on your computer, how to install what's called, and this is a big missing, another pun, link that people miss, is you need to have ModKit link in order to get it to connect to your robot. So you would download ModKit and make sure you have ModKit link installed. And what it does is this little program works down in the bottom right corner in the background in order to connect your robot when you plug it in. But the video walks you through on how to do all that. So anyway, someone asked about Chromebooks. There are 2 versions of ModKit. There's 3 versions if we include the iPad. There's the kind where you download a ModKit, install on a computer, or there's the kind where you work through, and you can see I'm on a web browser. And what I love about ModKit is this is so inviting for students, little kiddos, because this looks like cartoony, fun, and easy to learn. Compared to Robot C, which is a lot of semantics and syntax typing, and it's a little overwhelming. So let me do that very quick program. It starts with the brain, and I'm going to scroll down and say, we're just going to drive. So I'm going to use the drivetrain. And it's going to ask you, what do I hook the left robot up to? Or what motor, on the left motor, what port is it hooked up to? I'm going to say 1. I don't know. You'll have to figure that out. And what is the right motor hooked up to? I'm going to say 6. I don't know, but you would check. It literally puts a 1 there. It puts a 6 there. It puts 1. You can see in the graphic, 1 and 6 are being plugged in right now. Now I'm going to write the code. Now watch how easy this is. I'm going to go to blocks. Now this takes some getting used to because there's a lot of commands in there, but I'm going to just show you the 2 most common ones: control and output. So control is when I hit the start button, which is the little check mark. Output, I'm going to drive forward, and this right now is in millimeters. I said I wanted to go forward 6 inches, so I'm going to jump that down to inches. I'm going to change this to 6. I'm going to, and I'm done. That's it. Now I need to get it on my robot, so I can save it up here if I wanted to. I can go to File, and I can hit Save and save that, and it saves it online. You create an account. On your robot, once you connect it, you've got 4 slots, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll just select 1, and then I'm going to hit download. And once it says save to brain, I'm going to save it. And right here, it's going to say saving, and it'll turn green, ready to go. Your robot makes a little noise like it's successful, and you hit start, and this puppy is going to drive forward for 6 inches. It's going to be pretty close to 6 inches. It might be 5.5 or 6.5. You might just have to maybe you'll have to do 5.5 inches, and it went too far. But that's so easy that you can get this thing to drive forward. You can have it turn left, turn right, 45 degrees, 90 degrees. I mean, you just play with this and just keep resaving and resaving. The nice thing about what I like about this is it always keeps, if you build FlexBot, it always keeps that drive control program, and it never erases it. So your little programmers can't screw up the robot. And that's why you have these multiple slots. So anyway, if there's any questions there, let me know. I mean, that was my 5-minute tutorial on how to use ModKit. Do it this year. You guys are all veterans, coaches. Most of you are. Even if you're not, I'm telling all my first-year coaches to do it. So,
George, can I chime in just for a second?
Please.
Yeah, okay. Keep in mind what George just wrote there. That's called line-by-line coding, or programming coding. And keep in mind, it's going to do it one right after the other. First, it's going to start, then it's going to go forward. When it's done going forward, then it's going to turn right 90 degrees, and then you just keep adding after that for exactly what you want to do. So it's basically line by line. Now what he's doing, it's going to, after it turns right, now it's going to go forward 5.5 inches. So basically what he wrote right there is going to go forward, turn right, go forward again. Now it's going to turn left. I hope everybody kind of gets the idea. It's line by line.
Yep. I haven't used Paint in a while on one of my demos. We'll paint the driving. Unless anyone has any questions, I'm getting Paint out and I'm driving right now. This thing would go forward, probably not like that. It would turn right and then go forward, and then it would turn left. And it wouldn't actually drive on that second one. It would just turn left 90 degrees. That's kind of what that would look like. But anyway, what other questions you guys have? I don't see any other questions out there. How should the setup look on the brain when you are programming? Oh, all you got to do is turn it on and plug it in. And you'll use the plug that you use to charge your remote. So if you look on the side of the brain, I'm going to look at my brain right now. It says download. You know what? I can turn on my camera. Hey, there we are. So right here on the side of the brain, there is a little port right here. Looks like the camera for us. Right there that you would use to plug it in. And you can see here's the brain. You would plug it in right there. And when as long as your robot's turned on, when you plug that in, about to drop my stretch box. Bye, I'm turning that off now. You would, once you turn that on, once you turn it on, connect it, and you hit the download, it's good to go. The thing that you have to make sure you remember is that ModKit link. Any other questions? Anything else at all? Don't be shy. Like we're getting done 9 minutes early. Oh,
I'm gonna say the one thing I'll mention is, even if you're not built and running or stuff like that, and if you haven't signed up for events, sign up. Please do that. Don't wait until you're finished building it.
On my Mac is ModKit link in the App Store or at the website? I don't know. I would answer that. I know how to answer this. I'm going to go into VEX's website. Melissa, if you go to get the software and the video goes through this, you got to go into your account on VEX's website. I'm going to go into login. And even if you don't have an account, you just create an account. I'm going to log in here. And on the left side, it says software downloads. This is where you get ModKit. And there's Windows, and there's iOS, and there's the iPad. So there's your 3 links that you'll want. You would download that one. I think that's what answers your question. And then, oh, Brittany said, do you know if more competitions will be popping up over time? I hope.
Can I answer
that? Randy can answer that.
Yeah. Let's see, popping up over there are 6. First of all, yes, Early Bird's going to be in place the entire year. For Indiana, it works. I totally support it. You're going to find that the majority of the events are going to be after the new year. And that's kind of how it was last year. So you're going to see a whole bunch in January and, of course, in February. If you can't find one close to you, then I would suggest, if you're able to, doing events. I mean, talk to me about doing events, because really all you don't have to do judging, you just have to worry about the champions and all that. So it wouldn't be, the work wouldn't be quite as much as doing judging. So consider hosting events in your area. That would help, because we do have a shortage of events.
All right, what other questions do you have, guys, gals? I don't know about you, but it's rainy and dreary here, so stay dry, have fun, keep up the good work, keep kicking butt. Email us questions if you guys have questions afterwards. I'm happy to help at any time. Randy's always willing and happy to help as well. So anyone that joined late, I've got this recorded. I'll post on Coach's Corner probably tomorrow morning, so it takes a while to process. So thank you, everyone. Keep up the good work. I don't see any other questions, so I'm going to go. Thank you. All right, good night, everyone. Thanks, Randy.
Yep, sure thing. Thanks.
All right, take care. Bye.